summer, unfortunately, it seems not a week goes by without a car versus bicycle accident. Despite ad campaigns about keeping our heads up, everybody, whether we're driving or biking, we've had way too many of these accidents. Well, here to talk about what happens after this kind of an accident and how to get your medical bills paid, we have Jeff Kelley. He's an attorney with Harding & Associates in for Phil Harding this Friday. Good to see you again.
Good morning.
Jeff, you were here last week and you talked about an interesting concept I hadn't really even heard about before, and that's about stacking insurance policies to make sure you're actually getting all of the compensation that's due you.
That's correct. And to remind our viewers, you need to have a knowledgeable attorney in this area who will really dig into the different coverages available. And here's a graphic that we used last week. Maybe we could talk about this just for a minute.
Yeah, just kind of a refresher here.
Right, and the different areas that you look to for coverage would be the owner of the car, if they have insurance, the driver of the car, are they insured? And if you have problems in those areas, there may not be insurance or enough insurance, and you look to your own UIM coverage, which we know is uninsured motorist or underinsured motorist
Yeah,
coverage.
we know that now because you all are always here educating us on UM and UIM. All right, so we understand a little bit more about the stacking. So that's us as the car driver or even the passenger or the person who's been hit. But I would think it's vital that we have an attorney who understands how to dig and find those different policies for us.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just knowing about digging into finding each of these policies or coverages, but you absolutely have to give the proper notification. Today I want to show our viewers how they can reduce what they have to pay back to health insurance, Medicaid, Medicare, and the like.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, including myself, didn't realize that you do have to pay it back. I mean, you know, I just thought, okay, it's covered, they pay for it. But once you get these policies and they come in, I mean, sometimes you have to pay back the health insurance, right?
Yes, and that's called subrogation. Subrogation is paying back any health or other insurance company money that they paid out for your medical care due to this accident. 3 years ago, Colorado passed a law that says whenever an insurance company pays, whatever they pay out for you, needs to be reduced by the amount of your attorney's fees.
Yeah, it was just 3 years ago. It was called the Make Whole Law. Here's a little bit of it, an excerpt from it, right?
Yes, and I'd like the viewers to know that it's important that it says the amount recoverable, if any, by the payer of benefits or reimbursement or subrogation shall be reduced by an amount equal to the payer of benefits' proportionate share of the attorney's fees and expenses incurred on behalf of the injured party in making the recovery.
All right, so they're two little tiny words, but if any, that's a big deal. If any is paid back to the health insurance, is that correct? Okay.
Great eye for detail. The reason that that's important is that the law says that if any is because if you are not made whole, you generally do not have to pay back your health insurance. Let's look at another portion of this law, of the Make Whole Law. It says any provision in a policy, contract, or benefit plan allowing or requiring reimbursement or subrogation in circumstances in which the injured party has not been fully compensated is void as against public policy.
All right, so is this where you come in, Jeff, you and the rest of the team at Harding & Associates? You help the court decide or anyone decide if I have been made whole?
Yes.
I mean, how do you prove you've been made whole or not?
Great point.
Okay.
And what we do is this law describes this type of a determination. It's set up by statute. In short, if you get the total amount of the insurance coverage as we went through those policies, and we'll do that in a minute, then you are presumed not to have been made whole. And with this analysis, it works with each policy that you can collect from. So if we could go back to that first graphic, I could go through this
we may have a little bit of technical error on the graphic, so let's just talk about the different ones. So if the owner of the car, if they have insurance, let's say they get $25,000, right?
Yes.
Okay.
What you do is you go through an analysis with each policy, and let's say potentially there's a $25,000 policy for the driver of the other car, $25,000 policy for the owner of the car, possibly a $25,000 UIM policy on another vehicle you may own. Then as you settle with each carrier, presuming you have damages that substantiate that type of a recovery, then the health insurance company, based on the Make Whole Law, will defer recovery and should defer recovery so you don't have to pay back your health insurance each time you go through that analysis with each settlement.
Okay. Now, I think it's important here because the Make Whole law is relatively new. You said it's only 3 years old. I didn't
Yes.
even know about it. And you say there are actually attorneys who, they know that it exists, but they're not actually even using it. That is key when you're in an
Right.
accident, to have an attorney like you and Phil, and you're digging for these other policies. And I think the point it's all legal, so I'm trying to
Right.
keep up with you. But so if you are getting the maximum, the 25,000, then
Right.
basically they're assuming, okay, you haven't been made whole yet
Right.
because you're already getting the max.
Correct.
Am I reading that right?
Right. The presumption is that a policy limit settlement presumes that you have damages that exceed that amount.
Okay.
So what you have to do is you have to give the health insurance company, and they use a third-party administrator to recover monies for the health insurance company. You give them a 60-day notice, and they have that time period to evaluate it and look at it and determine if they agree that the party has not been made whole by that policy limit settlement. If they don't agree, then you have to go to an arbitration with them.
Okay, all right, good stuff. Thank you so much. I mean,
Sure.
you're always educating us, you and Phil. Now, if you have any legal questions for Jeff or his colleague, Phil Harding, they would absolutely love to hear from you, and it's easy to get a hold of them. You can go to our website, coloradosbest.tv, look for Phil's photo there it is, click on it, and they take the time to answer each of your questions personally, and many times they come on the show and address them right here on Colorado's Best. Now, to contact Harding & Associates directly, here's their number, 303-762-9500. You can also go online to hlaw.org. Well, coming up.